How to administer the ring. Administer. Hold your hand flat. Your right hand where we have the ring now. Okay. Make sure that the short or thin edge is now aligned with the hand and not the flat edge that goes around the ring, so that the ring is seen as above as a circle and not as a rectangle. Okay. Now use your left hand. And use your point finger and thumb, and place them on each side of the ring so that they are facing each other, the thumbs and the flat finger. Okay, and squeeze hard so that the ring now is stuck between your fingers. Okay, lift up the ring from the palm of your hand using your left hand. Now with your right hand, take your palm against you so that you can see the thumb to your right. Okay. Now count from right to left, 4 fingers, including the thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the finger that the ring shall be attached upon. Now use your left hand and rotate the ring so that the hole is now aligned. Come on. It's instructions for putting on the ring. Oh, whoa. Wow. Okay. So maybe I should have read the rest here, but okay, seriously, the rules use so many words for so little things. Hello, this is the hunt for the ring. This has quite a unique theme for a hidden movement game. Hidden movement game, that means that players or our player is moving using a notepad here that no other player is allowed to see. So here I have a pen, I will write down my location, and the locations are numbered here on the board. Now this is quite unique because normally in these games you have one evil guy and the rest of the players are the good guys trying to capture the evil guy. Here it is the opposite. Here we have Frodo Baggins trying to get the one ring from his home or whatever location he starts on and get it all the way to Rivendell to get helps from all the other 3 people, the elves, the dwarves and the humans. But of course, these figures here are the Nazgul. They are evil beings and they are trying desperately to find the ring because that is their sole purpose in this scenario. Find the ring. Or maybe they can corrupt him to make him reveal himself anyway. The ring is treacherous. So, how does this work? Since this is a hidden movement game, Frodo is never actually on the map. He is always on this track here, which indicates how far he has traveled, up to 16. If the marker is down here at 16, the game is over and we can see if Frodo has made it or not. But Frodo actually moves here on this sheet. And you see here, here's an exact replica of the map down here. So Frodo can look at this one instead of the map so that the other players can't follow his eyes and see where he look. Here you can write down the locations of Frodo and of course you insert a paper here just to make it reusable. And then you will write numbers down like this. So this is securely hidden here behind the screen, so no one can see it. It even has some nice side flaps here. So I'm just going to take this aside at the moment. So, just for visual sake, Frodo starts there. So each turn of the game is one part of a day. We have the morning, evening and night phase. And each of these turns, Frodo may move. He has to move here and here, but he may rest at night. But the Nazgul never rest. In fact, at night they are exceptionally efficient. But each turn of the game goes like this. Frodo moves 1 step, then all the Nazguls move 1 step as well, and 2 in the night, and they may perform an action to try and search and find Frodo. At the start of the game, Frodo will start here at 1, 2 or 3. So let's say he started at Bag End. He can now move from all these connected locations here by the lines to the next dot or to the next numbered location, but he can't go twice, so he cannot go 1, 2 now. But he can write in his log a dot. That makes him have an option to be here, or there, or there, or there at the same time. But for all intents and purposes, he is still at number 1. Next time he might write another dot, and that makes him arrange here, or even there, so he can have a further range for the next round. Or he could have written 14, or 11, or 4, or 5, or 2, because he has a dot from before and then just a number. So he can increase his range and his options by writing dots. That is an excellent thing to do. So let us say he writes dot, 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 and then 27. That he is here. And while he's moving, he has moved now 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually makes his figure here on the 4. When you just use this token right now to just keep track. Can you see it? Yeah, barely. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say it's number 27. The Nazguls, they have no idea where he is. They only know that he has traveled 4 from here, or here, or here. And they have no idea if he's going backwards, or up, or down, or this way. But they have many, many tricks up their sleeve. They can make a sense. They can sense if he's in this squared area here, as long as they are present, of course, or in this region, or this entire middle region, or this region, or any section of the board. They can also go to another location and just search, have you been here? So let's say blue is here, does a search, 14. So Frodo, the player, checks the log, is 14 mentioned? Yes, it was. So he acknowledges that he has been there on 14. Great. So now they know he's most likely started at number 1, because they can try to deduce by counting the steps, and there's no reason to go here 1, 2, 3 up this way. That is not a good plan for Frodo, or maybe it is, who knows. So now they will try to narrow it down and go together and try to find out where he is exactly. And in fact, he's never present on the board. He's here. And let's say red goes down here. He does a search. And Frodo checks, yes, I have been there. So actually, Frodo is there at the moment, but he isn't found yet. No, then they must hunt. We knew Frodo has been on 14 here by this marker. So we're trying to guess, maybe it's down here. So let's say, just for this demonstration, that purple is here and moves in there. It does a search. Oh no, it's the same location as Frodo. But Frodo just checks his log and says, yes, I have been there. But they don't know, not necessarily guaranteeing that he still is there. They need to hunt to find him. And to hunt, they need to use one of the 6 dice which are rolled at the start of each round. And each round is a day, and each day has 3 turns. So these 6 dice are divided by the 4 Nazguls 3 times in a round. So that it makes it 12 turns for the Nazguls and only 6 die to use on those 12 turns. And that isn't exactly a lot to deal with, and you also have the size of the die to use. You can't use this die now because we don't have it. But now we use a sword die to make a hunt. So a hunt here. Then Frodo would say, no, you found me. And he had to draw corruption. And the more Nazguls there are nearby, when this happens, the more corrupted Frodo will become. And that is the scary part of being the Frodo player, or the Free People's player. He knows exactly the amount of danger he is. The Nazguls only have a small inkling as to where he might be. And these are not in danger at all. They can't be killed, they can't be destroyed. They only want to find this guy and the thing he has in his hands, more specifically. As you see, the game is about these Nazguls trying to find Frodo, and Frodo wants to get to Bree. Frodo has, of course, some help. He's not alone in the journey. He has Sam with him. He has himself with the ring. Can you see it? He has Merry and Peregrine Took. Merry isn't available in the beginning, but he might show up in the way. Then, when Frodo gets to Bree, we go to part 2. Because I say when, because this part 1 here is most likely designed for Frodo to succeed in some manner. But it's designed so that they will find him and his corruption will not be at 12, but at least not at 0 either. It's designed so that he might have a chance to escape. Only one time have I played where Frodo was found and corrupted before he came to Bree, but then we played the game entirely wrong. And the rules are very important for this game. I'm going to mention that at the conclusion. But the rules, yeah, the rules. But anyway, we are now at part 2. And getting to part 2 is quite easy. We just flip this board here to show the other map. We flip this board here over to show, guess it, the other map. And we flip this over here to show, yes, you guessed right again, the other side of the board. And if you are very good, you can see that this is not Frodo, this is Gandalf. So now in this part 2, Frodo is no longer in control of this player, only Gandalf is. So we might actually see this figure now. But Frodo now has a predetermined path to go from left here or west to east. And that makes it a lot easier for the Nazguls to find him and capture him. Also, it is easier because there are very fewer locations now. And the fewer locations, the less options there is for Frodo to go. Also, Frodo will never react to how he is spotted here on the map. And that is a real pain for the Free People's player. He has to use Gandalf as best as he can to confuse the Nazguls and make them believe they have found Frodo when they actually have found Gandalf. So this part 2 here is a whole different ball game for the Free People and also for the Nazguls. Part 2 is very different from part 1. It is much more difficult for Frodo to come to Rivendell, and there are many reasons for that. Reason number 1, as I said, there are very few locations here that he actually can hide. But the most important reason is that he can't react to the movements of the Nazguls. He has a predetermined path to get from this side to this side. But Gandalf can be around here and confuse the Nazguls. So they have something called perception. Let's say the Nazgul is here. They use one of these rings to check, are you in area 4A? The player will say yes. So of course these are never here on the map. This one will be there and Gandalf is just somewhere on the side. But he can't determine whether it was Frodo or Gandalf or both in the area. Gandalf will throw off the senses. So let's say like this. Frodo's actually down, well, here maybe. You go here and detect, are you in area 4A? He says yes. That means that either Gandalf or Frodo is up here, or both. If he says no, well, no one is there. So this is important information for the Gandalf player to try to manipulate or feed the wrong information so that the Nazguls will waste time going the wrong direction. But then enter the Lord of the Nazguls, which replaces one of the regular Nazguls for a while. If he is here, the Nazgul players have access to the yellow die. And this die here says, well, perception, but it's stronger. So we go here, using this die, are you in 4A? And this player will say, yes, Gandalf is in 4A, or yes, they are both in 4A, or only, yes, Frodo is. He has to specifically say who is in there, and this die is very powerful. And the Nazgul, or Lord of the Nazgul, has one more trick up his sleeve. All Nazgul has to use a sword die to hunt, but the Lord doesn't have to. He can just go in and say, I hunt, without spending a die. Whew. So, since Frodo cannot react on the movements to the Nazguls, the Free People player have to use Gandalf to his best effort. And Gandalf can go on quests here, and if you finish those quests, which are behind here, this quest will help Frodo survive longer. And also Gandalf can go to Rivendell and just be off the board for good, and that will also give Frodo the one last corruption track. Now, these tracks here, the length and the corruption, are not predetermined this time. It is based on the path that Frodo has chosen, or the player has chosen. And those paths are on cards. So this part here is directly dependent on what happened on part 1. The corruption that ended with part 1 was the start in this part, and the cards that the Nazgul player has will be kept in hand, and the ally or Free People player will get new cards based on the number of cards he had from the previous one. So there's no way to start part 2 based on the rules without going through part 1 first. So to get this, you have to play part 1. And that is kind of the point as well. It is a story arc and you want to play both. But at the beginning of part 2, the Gandalf player has to get or decide the path that Frodo is going to take. Now there are 2 decks in the game. They have identical backside, but on the front side they are different. We have a long path here and a short path. You see there are fewer steps on the bottom here. The long path requires 16 steps for Frodo to move to get to Rivendell. The short path only 14. So the benefit of taking the long path is that you have more resistance against corruption. You can take 14, but the short path can only take 12. But of course, the longer you are on the board, the greater the chance that the Nazgul is going to find you. So the Nazgul players never know what kind of deck you have chosen. And the card you have chosen is permanent as well. It is possible to switch this in the game, but it is costly and it might not be beneficial, and you don't have control over the new cards you're getting. It is from the same deck, so you're not going to gain anything from it. Rather, you're going to lose something from it. So when Frodo is, for instance, on step 6 here, we can just reference this card here and see step 6 is now on number 26. And so now Gandalf can respond to this and try to fool the senses of the Nazgul. So this keeps track of the Frodo player. You only look at the number here and see where he is currently on this card, which is always hidden for the Nazguls. Now then, this game, I'm not going to spoil it yet. First, I am going to mention this here. This here is a pain in the neck, as they say. To get through the rules, you first have to get through about the game, and then through the components that are in the game, and then through more components in the game, and then through all these definitions of the terminology of the legends of the board, which is important to get because many of the cards reference to the types of things on the boards or tokens that are not on the board, and you need to know what they are called. So there's a lot of information to consume, sure. But then we go to page 8, part 1. This one goes on to and including 25. Now, Spectre Ops, also a hidden movement game, has I think 2 pages of rules. 2 freaking pages. This one has more than 2. So the words are not badly written. It's a comprehensible rulebook. I remember reading it before playing the game. So this makes sense. This makes sense. Yeah, sure, I can play this game. And then we played totally wrong. And we tried to look up in the rulebook. Oh, it's not here, it's not there. Where is it? Where can it be under? Okay, let's check the index. Not helping. This doesn't help at all. This doesn't even point to where it is in the book. The problem with this book is not that it's badly written. It's just too many words. I tried to show that in the introduction with the ring and how to attach it to your finger. You can spend many words on it if you want, but is it necessary? No, it is not. I really hope this book here will get a revision or something, or someone makes a great video on how to play this game, because getting through this is a chore. I can't recommend this book at all. What I can recommend though is this game. Oh, I like it so much. I get comments now from people at the game club, have you played this many times now? Yeah, so, want to play now? I really enjoy this game a lot, actually. And that is because the theme comes through amazingly well. Through the artwork, through the colors, through these Nazgul figures, which aren't pre-painted, by the way, I painted those. Through everything. Everything is so thematically bound, and you feel the tension between the Frodo and the Nazguls, depending on what side you are on, of course. And everything just comes through from the book. You can meet Farmer Maggot and he can help you, and you can meet Tom Bombadil and you can get some help from the dwarves, and There's so much stuff happening on this board, and of course that is why the rules are very specific. They have tons of examples in the rules with more text, and then you have more rules with reference to the examples and vice versa, so there's a lot of things to consume in there. But the result, when you get to that rule, I like it so much. Now, this is a two-parter. Part 1, where you have to play from A to get to B. I enjoy that immensely. Part 2, I'm not sure if I enjoy that more or less. I think less at the moment, because the Free People's player doesn't have control that much. And it is a bit easier for these guys to find him. So, in that sense, I enjoy part 1 better, because Frodo can react to the movements and he has many places to hide. But I do enjoy the whole thing with part 1 and part 2 together. So you can play part 1 and then save the game by using the envelope I showed you in the introduction with the ring in it. And you can continue later. Oh, sorry about that. I spent the entire memory card for the camera, so now I'm using my iPhone instead. So sorry about that. And now I lost my train of thought here. The game is excellent. I will forgive it for having this horrendous thing here. Again, it's not badly written, it's just long and not very easy to find back to. But playing part 1 and playing part 2 together really brings out the theme of the game. It plays great with 2 players and 3 and 4. And what this game has essentially, that is the other games don't necessarily have, is they don't have downtime. The Nazguls always have something to do by moving around and trying to find Frodo. For instance, if you're Dracula, you have downtime because you are in the south, you want to wait for Dracula in case he tries to go that way. Your inventory is full and you can't really do anything. You can't play cards because you want those cards, you can't, you pass. And then it goes around the table, takes a long while, and maybe you pass again because you still don't have anything to do because you've and circumstances, which happens a lot in that game. Same with Spectre Ops, a game that I enjoy a lot as well. You have downtime. So if you play with the full group of players, one player is almost bound to have the stand in one spot and just keep an eye down that road for many turns. And it's so boring, even though those are very important jobs to have, to just keep the enemy from going there, or when it does, you find them. But it's so boring, and you don't have that in Hunt for the Ring. All the Nazguls have something to do. They want to move around and trying to locate Frodo, who is always on the move. Yeah, there is so much going on in this game. Of course, that is one reason to the thickness of the book, because there are so many things here that I haven't gone through at all. That you need to know, like the legend of the board, the names of the things, and the small minutiae. What happens if they hunt and the Gandalf and Frodo is there? If they search, what happens then? And what if multiple Nazguls are in the same location? What happens then? So many questions, so many things that can happen in this game. But I like it so much. It is a great experience. So yeah, Hunt for the Ring. If it wasn't for the rulebook, it would be way up there. But still, I'm going to give this a seal of excellence, despite of the rulebook, because the rulebook isn't the game, it is the game that is the game, and that is a great game. So, a small funny thing, if you happen to have War of the Ring, you can play this before, because War of the Ring started with the Fellowship in Rivendell. This game ends with the Fellowship in Rivendell. The outcome of this game can be determine how or affect the start of War of the Ring. So you play 90 minutes on the one side and 90 minutes on the other side, unless you actually capture him on the first side. And then you get 1 or 2 tokens in the hunt bag, which might or might not appear at all. So it doesn't even matter. Well, you can, that's the thing. You can if you want, and they have made the option of you having the option. So I like that, but still, it's insane. But this Hunt for the Ring, excellent game. I give it 2 rings up. Wait, there's only 1 ring to rule them all. But yeah, recommendation, absolutely. Okay, thank you for watching The Northman. Yeah, now the camera is losing battery. Okay, see ya and have fun gaming.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.